After a 100-meeting leaders summit in South Korea, President Xi Jinping and U.S. President Donald Trump reached consensus on issues such as tariffs and fentanyl. Trump orders Pentagon to match Russia and China in nuclear weapons testing, potentially shifting decades of U.S. policy. And in Hong Kong, over 100 drugs will be sold at affordable prices under a new government scheme launching next year. Good evening, you're watching Cable News. I'm Kuntin Yang. In a landmark reunion, President Xi Jinping and his U.S. counterpart Donald Trump concluded talks in South Korea. Xi called on both sides to be friends and partners in pursuit of mutual success, while Trump voiced confidence in reaching further agreements and building a long-term positive partnership. The U.S. leader later announced that China would immediately begin purchasing American soybeans, lift its rare earth export restrictions, and reduce tariffs. Zhou Yun wraps up the leaders' summit.
The two leaders shook hands for the first face-to-face meeting in 6 years and Trump's first since returning to the White House.
Great pleasure to see you again.
Good to see you again.
Me too.
And we're going to have a very successful meeting, I have no doubt. But he's a very tough negotiator. That's not good.
Xi said China-U.S. relations have remained broadly stable under their joint guidance, despite occasional disagreements, and that frictions are normal. He urged the two nations to act as friends and partners to achieve great and concrete outcomes for both countries and the wider world. I always believe China's development goes hand in hand with your vision to make America great again, Xi said. Meanwhile, Trump called Xi a distinguished and respected president and an old friend.
I think we've already agreed to a lot of things, and we'll agree to some more right now. But President Xi is a great leader of a great country, and I think we're going to have a fantastic relationship for a long period of time, and it's an honor to have you with us.
The pair also touched on global affairs. Xi thanked Trump for his great contribution to the recent Gaza ceasefire and for witnessing the Thailand-Cambodia peace accord. The talks lasted 1 hour and 40 minutes. After a final handshake, Trump escorted Xi to his motorcade. The meeting occurred on the sidelines of the APEC summit in South Korea. Wrapping up the 2-day stop and a 3-leg Asia trip, Trump announced China would immediately buy U.S. soybeans and other products, with a trade deal to be signed pretty soon. Trump added he would visit China in April, with Xi to reciprocate afterwards. In Beijing, the Ministry of Commerce said the U.S. has cancelled the 10% fentanyl tariff on Chinese goods. The 24% reciprocal tariffs on Chinese goods, including goods from Hong Kong and Macau, will remain suspended for a year, and the U.S. will also suspend Section 301 investigation measures against China's maritime, logistics, and shipbuilding sectors for 1 year. China will reciprocally suspend countermeasures against the U.S. for 1 year and pause its export controls announced on October 9th, including those on rare earths. Both sides also reached consensus on various areas, including anti-fentanyl cooperation and expansion of agricultural trade, while agreed to properly handle issues surrounding TikTok. Cheryl Yun, Cable News.
Minutes before meeting with Chinese leader Xi Jinping, U.S. President Donald Trump has directed the Pentagon to immediately resume testing nuclear weapons, ending a 33-year hiatus. Trump made the surprise announcement on social media just minutes before meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping in South Korea. On his way back to Washington, Trump said testing was needed to ensure Washington keeps pace with its rival nuclear powers, specifically naming China and Russia.
We have more nuclear weapons than anybody. We don't do testing. We've halted it many years ago. But with others doing testing, I think it's appropriate that we do also.
When asked if this made the world more dangerous, Trump dismissed the concern, claiming U.S. stockpiles were well locked up, though he added he would welcome denuclearization. Trump's decision came after Russia announced it had tested a nuclear-propelled cruise missile that can carry a nuclear warhead and a nuclear-powered torpedo. In Beijing, Foreign Ministry spokesman Guo Jiakun urged the U.S. to fulfill its obligations under the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty and honor its commitments to suspend nuclear tests. The U.S. joined the treaty in 1996, when then-President George H.W. Bush halted domestic testing in 1992. Though the Senate voted against ratifying the treaty, the American testing grounds remained silent for over 3 decades. Meanwhile, China and Russia conducted their last tests in 1996 and 1990, respectively. North Korea was the most recent nuclear power to carry out a test in 2017. In Hong Kong, over 100 drug items will initially be available at affordable prices from community pharmacies as part of the government's community drug formulary mechanism set to launch in the 4th quarter of next year. Evelyn Bai has more.
Coordinated by the hospital authority, drugs listed in the CDF will initially include preventive drugs, along with those for managing chronic disease and treating episodic illnesses. HE patients and citizens participating in the government's primary healthcare programs, such as the Chronic Disease Co-Care Pilot Scheme, will be able to purchase these medications at subsidized prices. In the long term, the drug list will be expanded to 400 drug items based on patient needs.
Drug supply will be a very important factor to enable the patient to have a comprehensive service. And we hope that through the community drug formulary, by its design and also the procurement process, we can provide with the patients, especially chronic disease patients, an affordable cost for getting the supply of drugs.
Meanwhile, the government will introduce the guidelines of practice for community pharmacy, with 4 districts, namely Eastern, Yaoqimeng, Shatin, and Yunlong, being piloted in the first phase. By the 4th quarter of 2027, it will be expanded to cover all 18 districts across the city. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
Up to 1.4 million Hong Kongers will qualify for reduced or exempted medical fees at public hospitals under an expanded waiver scheme set to take effect next year. Eligible patients with appointments at public hospitals scheduled for January or February may begin applying for the fee relief starting next Monday. Jamie Liu reports.
Starting January 1st next year, the government will raise public hospital fees while relaxing eligibility for its medical fee waiver scheme. 2 financial criteria are being eased: the patient's monthly household income and the value of their household assets. As a result, the number of eligible patients will rise from 300,000 to 1.4 million, according to the hospital authority. There will be a 3-month transition period during which applicants can receive a conditional waiver before submitting all the required financial documents. They will have 3 months to file the paperwork, and if they are later found ineligible, they will need to repay any reduced or exempted medical fees. To enhance processing efficiency, authorities will start accepting early applications next Monday from patients with appointments scheduled for January or February. Other measures include allowing current beneficiaries under the waiver system to retain their status and setting up 7 special teams to process applications. Jamie Liu, Cable News.
Security Chief Chris Tan warned residents against urging others to boycott or cast blank votes in the Legislative Council election, saying that even sharing an online post could have legal consequences. Speaking to reporters, the Security Secretary accused former lawmaker Ted Hui, who's wanted for national security crimes, of blatantly appealing for illegal actions on social media. He told residents not to follow his call and cautioned against reposting relevant online content, saying that it could be in breach of election laws. And if the move involves collusion with foreign forces to influence or manipulate the election, it may also violate the national security law, Tan added. The Shenzhou 21 crew will embark on a 6-month space station mission tomorrow night. Joining the 3 astronauts are 4 mice, marking the first time China conducts a scientific experiment involving rodent mammals in space. Cheryl Yun reports.
Zhang Lu, Wu Fei, and Zhang Hongzhang will carry out the Shenzhou 21 crewed spaceflight mission, scheduled for launch at 11:44 p.m. tomorrow from the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center in northwest China. Zhang Lu, who flew on the Shenzhou 15 mission, will serve as commander this time. He said he was thrilled and eager to represent the country on another mission 2 years after his last. Both his teammates are first-timers. Wu Fei, the youngest member at age 32, said he felt incredibly fortunate to be part of a new era of regular crewed missions. Zhang Hongzhang, the payload specialist, said he is looking forward to conducting scientific research and tackling problems that previous generations hoped to solve but could not. During their stay in space, the trio will take on 27 projects spanning life sciences, biotechnology, medicine, materials science, and more. They will conduct the nation's first scientific experiment involving rodent mammals in space by bringing along 4 mice, 2 males and 2 females. The study will examine how space conditions, such as microgravity and enclosed environments, affect the animal's behavior. The China Manned Space Agency also disclosed more details about the 2 astronauts from Hong Kong and Macau who are currently in training. Spokesperson Zhang Jingbo said they are in good health and have successfully completed a series of rigorous training sessions, remaining on track to embark on their debut space flight missions. Cheryl Yun, Cable News.
Now let's take a look at the stock market. The Hang Seng Index closed 63 points lower. Top active stocks of the day: Alibaba was up $1.10. Tencent was up $6. Xiaomi was down 76 cents, while Meituan was up $2.40. Foreign exchange against the Hong Kong dollar: Euro 9.01, Japanese yen 50.40. The U.S. Federal Reserve has lowered its interest rate by a 1/4 percentage point, marking the second rate reduction this year, while dampening investor expectations for further cuts in December. This move prompted Hong Kong's 3 note-issuing banks to cut their prime rates by 12.5 basis points. Evelyn Bai has more details.
Following a 10-2 vote, the Federal Open Market Committee reduced its benchmark interest rate to a range of 3.75% to 4%, in line with market expectations. Speaking at a news conference, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell attributed the rate cut to slowed job growth, high inflation, and the ongoing government shutdown, which has resulted in the loss of key data used to track the economy, such as monthly employment, inflation, and consumer spending reports.
In the committee's discussions at this meeting, there were strongly differing views about how to proceed in December. A further reduction in the policy rate at the December meeting is not a foregone conclusion. Far from it.
In step with the Fed, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority also reduced the base rate by a 1/4 percentage point to 4.25%, with immediate effect.
The pace of future rate cuts remains quite uncertain. The renewed tariff uncertainties and the unavailability of certain major economic data have added complexity to the assessment of U.S. labor market and inflation trends.
HSBC and Bank of China Hong Kong slashed their prime rates to a record low of 5% by 12.5 basis points. Standard Chartered cut its prime rate to 5.25% by the same amount. All 3 note-issuing banks lowered their savings rates by 12.4 basis points to 0.001%. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
On to the weather now. Mainly cloudy, 1 or 2 light rain patches tonight and tomorrow morning. Hot with sunny periods during the day. Temperatures will range between 25 and 29 degrees. Moderate east to northeasterly winds. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. And that's our news tonight. I'm Kunting Yang. Thank you for watching. Good night.